The real war on Bitcoin has already started. And it's not about where the price is going in the next few days, weeks, months, or even years. It's about control, surveillance, custody, paper Bitcoin, and whether we Bitcoiners are ready to build applications in the real world. Today I'm speaking with someone that lives and breathes Bitcoin every single day, Matthias and Choi. You mentioned that there's like a reset, the paradigm shift coming. What do you mean by that? Like, what are you kind of expecting for that?
Something big is coming, and it's about. I would probably use the analogy of a technological revolution, of the industrial revolution, which is now technological, which is now digital revolution. We have seen in past that when few big technological advancements come together, it dramatically shifts how people live, pretty much. Yeah, like before industrial revolution, people were living more outside and working on fields. With industrial revolution, we got people inside behind the machines, and with artificial lights, and also like the information with telegraph started to run faster. So everything is getting faster. That's like TLDR, what I'm kind of figuring out. And what are the implications for everyday Jim and Joe nowadays? I think it's best to be flexible. It's best to be ready to change, because we can't be sure what will happen in upcoming 5 to 10 years. I think that as every other technological evolution, it's a S-curve, and we are now just starting to go up in the hockey stick, and it will slow down eventually. But when? Who knows? And how big of the change it will be for most of the people, like, who can guess? I would be curious about your opinion, Robin.
Yeah, it's super interesting because there is a kind of small divide in the Bitcoin community. There's like the power law people, and then there's the S-curve people. Like S-curve, I think most popular is probably gradually then suddenly from, like how is he called?
Parker Lewis.
Parker Lewis. I think that's the main thesis, and I had him on already 2 times on the podcast where we talked about what could this suddenly like kind of trigger. And he talked if one of the G3 nations, one of the G3 currencies is hyperinflating, then it's game on for Bitcoin. Like this is the point where it's like really going steep, and everything that we have up until now, it's kind of like linear small thing, and then there's like the steep curve. That's kind of his saying. But there's also like the power law people that say like, oh, it's like a little bit slower and like more gradually. And I like in the middle. I'm like, because I see the S-curve, I see the technology, I see all the things that are happening, and I see also, if you look at past revolutions, if you look at the telegraph, as you mentioned, as you look at the printing press, if you look at internet adoption, at the electricity adoption, all those are kind of pointing to an S-curve adoption. I mean, even the car, we see this with popular meme of those 2 pictures. I think it was of New York, where you see the first picture with like a bunch of horses in one car. 10 years later, a bunch of cars with one horse. It goes very fast once you come over a certain point, and especially with money. Like once the trust is lost, it can go very fast. That's why I'm also like now, like this the stretches and the preferred stocks of like those Bitcoin treasury companies are very popular. And maybe it is a good product, maybe it's a good retirement tool. It's something that like in the Bitcoin ecosystem, and it's a tool that you might be able to use. But I would be just very careful, because they are US dollar or euro denominated, and like what's $100 in 10 years? The principle is kind of getting lost there.
Yeah. No. That is a great point, and I personally, I'm a self-custody maximalist. I feel like that's you have different kind of instruments. Each of the instrument, the financial products and services, are good for different use case. But on the end of the day, in a time of uncertainty, you want to make sure that your money are untouchable, and you only can do that with self-custody, holding your own keys.
Yeah, 100%. Now, we talked about the Bitcoin Living Masterclass and kind of the adoption with the what's going on with Bitcoin, because I think it's very interesting what's going on. How do you specifically see that in Europe? Because I think I have a lot of American audience, and they're always interested in like what's actually going on in Europe, because we hear a lot about a lot of different things. I think when I listen to Americans talking about Europe, some things are very true, but they are a little bit over exaggerated, and some things are just like completely wrong. How do you see Bitcoin in Europe, and also the general direction of like where Europe is going?
Well, I think Europe is under attack, and it's within. It's not. You can imagine the elite. They call themselves World Economic Forum, and they think they can act like nannies, and they can tell us what to do. And I don't think people really need, like, most of the like entrepreneurs and people who are okay with their life, they really feel it's making more bad than good. The like overregulation, and it's very hard to do a business, to comply with all these rules, and most of the rules are unnecessarily difficult, and not really serving the people and the purpose. Sometimes they are creating honeypots and just obstacles to be productive citizen, and that kind of really pissing me off, because I feel like really people are those who are ruling the world, like individuals, and with this, I feel like Europe is being strangled and kind of choked. But I am hopeful. I'm a constructive person, so I feel the way out of it. I feel like now is the time, and the paradigm shift is a part of the change. But it will take some time. I feel like Czech Republic is on the very good side of this coin. Like I see that the whole government is changed from um very unfriendly to friendly to Bitcoin and other crypto assets. um, I see that most of the Czech wealthy people are buying Bitcoin. They are very interested about Bitcoin. The trend is good, but we are a jewel of Europe, together with Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. Yeah, so we are not the only one, but I would say that we need more countries to jump on the Bitcoin train before it's too late. And my personal goal with BTC Prague has been always to speed up the process of Bitcoin adoption. But now I also changed because I see what can be done on the governmental level with advocacy and lobbying, what we have done only in 3 years in Czech Republic. And I feel like now is the time when other people, other Bitcoiners from other countries will really pick up this blueprint, tweak it a little bit for their own country, for their own situation, and try to change the cause of future. Because really, Bitcoiners, we like a productive part of society, we are the people who should care and who should try to meet our goals and change the future. Because those on the top of the pyramid, they have no idea how to do it. They will be just throwing rocks and sticks under our legs. So I think it's time to say stop. We are taking over. Clean our way.
I love that. And is there, because there's this theory out there that we have to build like this Bitcoin citadels, and that Bitcoin overall is centralizing the money in a decentralized way, and therefore we decentralize power across different continents, within Europe, within America, and all of that. And there's a lot of different theories around that, but I'm really curious how you think about Bitcoin going to decentralize Europe, because I have this theory that with there's no central power. I mean, this is not something that comes maybe in the next 5 years, might come in the next 100 years. Like it will take way longer than I think most people anticipate. But if we take away the power of money printing, if we take away the power of centralized government to a certain degree, I think we can be way more decentralized and have decision making in not like, okay, it's in Brussels, it's like in Vienna for Austria, it's in like Prague for Czech Republic, but more like on a city, local, region level, and then only work together if it's like necessary for like economies. How do you think about the impact of Bitcoin on those political structures?
Great question. Great question, really. I have few takes. I hope I will not forget all of them before I finish the first one. You know, Bitcoin is changing the game because it's rapidly more fair than any other money before. So it's more fair. Yes, it can be decentralized. It is decentralized, but it can be kind of hoarded by few people. That's true, but still, it's much more fairer if they hold hard money and not the fiat currency, which there is a cantillon effect and other kind of things, what makes it even more difficult to, and more, the power structure is more hard to break. With Bitcoin, I think, because it's fairer money, and we will see how it goes with all these other things what you can do with Bitcoin, like lending and borrowing and so on, because there will be a lot of paper Bitcoin. There will be a lot of paper Bitcoin. But that's a different story. What I wanted to say is that, like, if you study history and you go to Asian world, like Egypt, Babylonia, there was a huge centralized, there were only a few centralized points. And I think that the pendulum in history is swinging right and left from one side to another. So we are now in the decentralizing swing, so to say. So the world will be more decentralized than it was before, which is good. It will be still centralized, but we can see now with AI that if you are a powerful individual, you can do a lot. You can do a work of 10 people. So this is another effect what we need to count in. It's not only money what is decentralizing. Those other technology are also decentralized in nature, like like a, like a decentralized healthcare. You can pretty much decide about your health, and you can find different solutions like red light therapy to solve your health issues, or like being more aware of what are your issues, because there is not the centralized party who is telling you what to do. So I think that the decentralization is really happening, and I'm super excited about that. But of course, the power structures are very old, and they will be fighting for the power. So they will be trying to take over um and and kind of like try to control us. But and now, like, if you look at Southeast Asia, for example, Indonesia, for example, there are 8,000 islands. They have a government. It's called Indonesian Republic. They have a main main capital. It's called Jakarta. The islands, they have kind of uh, uh, they should be paying taxes, but no one is paying taxes because the government has had no power to enforce it. So what I wanted to say with this is that maybe this is kind of the future in Europe as well, that we are building a parallel world, parallel structure inside Europe, where yes, government can be good in some sense, but maybe not for everything. We are not anti-government. We are anti-control, yeah, anti-surveillance. So perhaps Bitcoiners and those people in power will create the pockets of freedom inside the governments, and the government will be serving only certain functions of for society.
It's really interesting because I mean, Czech I think is further advanced in like the freedom aspect and has a strong resistance to that than I think Austria and Germany has. I don't have any insights in any other EU countries. I think Germany, Austria is the main ones that I see because it's German speaking. But it's interesting because the biggest party here in Austria is not in the government, but they are against the EU and they are very much aligned with those values, but they didn't get the government going because the other parties kind of form the government around them, which is I think, democratic problem, but that's a whole nother podcast. But I think one aspect is also very important is the decentralized media aspect, because we now have not one newspaper. I mean, something like Bitcoin Prague, I don't know, 30 years ago, would have had to go to newspapers, give them money, put kind of like efforts in there that they are able to even be seen by so many people, be able to go to the, I don't know, TV stations, and it's all like centralized. You have to talk to like three people and kind of convince them that's a good idea to like advertise all of that. I don't know how it was advertisement 30 years ago. It was before my time, but I imagine something like that. It was there. And now we have decentralized media. You can do it yourself. You can get a lot of different people going. And now you have podcasters, you have content creators, you have TikTokers, you have Instagram people. I think the decentralized media aspect is super important in the upcoming shift towards informing and educating people.
Yes, definitely. You touched on a great point. Like the community is very powerful. You have your followers. They trust you, and you can ask them for help. And that was what happened in Czech Republic when we were lobbying for these great laws. What we just passed last year in May in 2025. It took few people 3 years to get it to the parliament, but there was no one really who was like kind of friendly towards this change. Like, so we asked for capital gains taxes, no capital gains taxes after 3 years of holding. That was the main point, and it wasn't really going well. But then we asked the community, Bitcoin community, to make a lot of noise on the internet, and that start working. Like we kind of picked on few politicians, and they recognized that this is a very strong voting bloc and a good PR, and they start joining this initiative because the incentives for them, it was important to get votes. And suddenly we got over 50%, and even the biggest the biggest politicians who were against this law change before, they wore Bitcoin t-shirts and they were doing TikToks and Instagram videos. It was crazy. And it was all done because of, it was all possible because of the power of community, really, because we made a noise. And it was synchronized on signal groups and Telegram chats. So yes, definitely, we this is just a connection of those 2 points. We should be feeling powerful because finally we have a voice. We have a voice, and we have the way how to amplify the voice and synchronize, because Bitcoiners really tend to agree on 8 points from 10, and we should be focusing on those things what we have in common, and we will be the most powerful social economic group in future. So not uh, why not act like we already are and prepare for the future? Why not speed up the process of Bitcoin adoption? If everyone will do just a little job and clean up around his own house, the world will be really much nicer place.
I love that. That's really good. That's also how I look at it. If everyone does his job, like we can all live in freedom and prosperity. But it's easier said than done, I guess. But yeah, the power of the grassroots community is crazy. This is I mean, in America, we've seen what it did in the presidential election. We were that strong. Not only that, one of the Donald Trump adopted kind of a pro Bitcoin stand, went to like PubKey, went to the Bitcoin conference, all of those things. Not only that,
Fried Ross Ulbricht.
yeah, freed Ross Ulbricht.
Yeah.
But not only that, we were so strong that even the opposition, with Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, they switched their stance on Bitcoin. They all of a sudden like got more friendly to it. They're like, okay, shit, like we have to be friendly to that because otherwise we're losing the race. And I mean, in America, it's a special political situation because there's a small group of people that are kind of changing voters between the two parties, and they are kind of deciding it. So losing that crowd is basically losing the whole election. But there's a whole nother topic. So seeing that in the United States of America, such a big country, seeing the change that Bitcoin is being able to do that with one of the most powerful persons on planet Earth, that's crazy. And yes, I think we should do a better job in Europe. We should do the same thing in Czech as you already doing in Germany, in Austria, in France, in Spain, everywhere. We should do this in a very strong way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Europe is very different from US because we have so many different languages and cultures. Like the idea of European Union, well, it might have some roots of good, but it cannot be enforced. Like, I mean, like, how can someone from Brussels tell Czech farmer how to milk the cows? Come on, it's ridiculous. Just stop that.
100%. Do you what do you think is the future of the European Union? It's like Britain went out of it. There might be other countries that follow that, but then at the same time, Britain like plays around with that idea of maybe joining again. I don't know, like what's the thing there? Then there's Switzerland that hasn't joined but might be coming closer to it. All of those topics. How do you look at the construct that is the European Union?
Um, Honest answer, I don't know. I'm not an expert in this. I don't own TV. I don't watch news. I only listen Bitcoin podcast mostly, and research things with Bitcoin lands. So I have no idea. I mean, I'm building parallel systems, um, but I also like to support people who do the advocacy. I really believe that the fight needs to happen on both fronts, but I'm here to build parallel system. I'm not here to comply.
And that's also how you look at maybe taxes on Bitcoin going forward, because it will be very hard to tax Bitcoin if you're good about it.
Oof, yeah, if you're good about it, that's a good addition. Well, I believe that well, we have a great tax laws in Czech Republic for Bitcoin. So that was a life changer for me and for many other Czech Bitcoiners, because like so many people, dozens of my friends were already making a second passports and a residency just to make sure that they kind of escape from the tax burden. But now they all have this as a plan B, but they building their houses and their homes in country they love, and they want to stay here. So having the laws which are friendly for Bitcoiners is absolute must, because just the people will flee. The people will move to different countries. It's already happening. Well, the welfare tax. It's not a good way how to treat your productive part of society. So I just hope that the tax laws will be appropriate to not like make people moving out from the country they've been born.
If you live in Europe like I do and want to buy Bitcoin the right way, check out Relai. Relai is a Bitcoin-only platform with no distractions, no shitcoins, just a BTC. It's also the easiest way I've found to do what actually works, buying Bitcoin on a consistent basis. Relai is also self-custodial. They never have the keys to your Bitcoin. No freezing of your assets, no counterparty risk, no rug pulling whatsoever. I have been a long-term fan of Relai, not only because it's incredible easy to use and very beginner friendly, but also because it just works. If you want to get started with Relai today, click the link down in the pinned comment or in the description, and once you have downloaded the app, type in Robin in the referral code section of the app to save 10% on fees. So set up your DCA Bitcoin plan today with the Relai app and get cheaper Bitcoin if you use code Robin. With Microseed, you can engrave your 12 or 24 word seed phrase, the entire seed phrase, onto a 1-inch small washer. Yes, just one washer. All 24 words on that one washer. You can hide that thing everywhere. And even better, you don't need to buy a new kit every time you have to get a new wallet. You can make unlimited backups because Microseed is not selling the washer. Microseed is selling the device that stamps the washer. So you get the full kit with the device, with the washers, with the hammer, with everything you need to get started today. And you can make with that unlimited amount of backups. Go now to microseed.io. Finally, we have BTC Prague back in 2026. And this year, I'm not only speaking on a panel, but I'm actually going to present an interesting new angle, a perspective, a Bitcoin thesis at BTC Prague this year for the first time ever. I've never done that on any other conference, so this will be a fun one. If you listen to this show on a regular basis, I would love to meet you in Prague this year. It's very high signal, no noise, and Prague is just a freaking amazing city with awesome drinks and a lot of good food. Use code Robin to get 10% off, and if you buy with Bitcoin, you get an additional 5% off your ticket price. I'll see you there in Prague. Make sure to come say hi. And you said something before about paper Bitcoin, and this is actually something that I see in almost every single live stream somewhere as a concern in there. It's more and more in comments also that people are concerned about paper Bitcoin. I think it's especially because right now because they see how much Bitcoin Sailor, for example, is buying, and they see the Bitcoin price crashing and BlackRock and all of those things. Is that a concern of yours that this might be a problem the Bitcoin community has to face?
Well, I think it is a problem, but only from short term. The people who will be owning a paper Bitcoin, they will learn hard way. They will learn because there will be a bank run and they will not have the Bitcoin, and people will lose money and they will come to the only real Bitcoin which is in existence, and that's when you own the private keys. So yes, I'm a little bit afraid, concerned about the people who will fall for this. It will happen, definitely. The next big drop will be when JP Morgan will announce that they don't have their Bitcoin on balance sheet, or Coinbase.
This is a thing. I'm also concerned about Binance. Like I don't want to pick on individual companies, but like if I think about okay, what could make this bear market worse, it would be something like a situation we had in 2022 with FTX and Celsius. And then if I think about realistic candidates that could actually go through that make a huge impact, I'm like, Binance, I don't know, like they have their token and all, like I don't know, like don't have any insights on them, but I just look at what could make this situation in Bitcoin with the bear market potentially even worse. And Binance is one of the small black swans that I'm like, Oh, if they bend the knee, like we're back to 30K.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. And the advice here is just take your money off the exchange. I was affected by FTX. I lost money there. Yes, it happened. I've learned since the time I'm not using exchanges anymore.
Exchanges are just on ramps. They are literally just what the name is, exchange. You exchange your money there, and like
Yep,
you keep it in self custody. That's why I love to see. I think Relay is a main partner at Bitcoin Prague, if I saw that correct.
yes.
And they are, and that's what I like. I have 3 filters for exchanges. They have to be Bitcoin only, they have to be super easy to use, and they have to be self-custodial, because then there's not even a chance that there's something like that happening. But that's a whole different topic.
Yeah, well, I mean, I understand like people are getting more and more information about Bitcoin, and it is an evolution to become a hardcore self-custody, non-KYC Bitcoin maximalist. It takes time. So exchange is somewhere in the timeline, somewhere in the educational and the learning process. There is a need to go to exchange and perhaps feel a little bit of the pain, because that's the best feature. Um, we are in Czech. We are very very lucky that we have a great network of non KYC peer to peer traders. It's very easy to buy non KYC Bitcoin. You meet people in the cafe or restaurant or gas station or wherever you want, or they come to your home because you already know them, and you exchange money for Bitcoin. And this is, for me personally, the best way how to buy Bitcoin, because it's without KYC. That means you are not creating a honeypot, your name and address somewhere on the exchange, uh, which can leak. It happens every now and then someone else knows how much Bitcoin you have. So this is something to take into account when you're buying a Bitcoin, to not leave too much trace behind yourself.
I think Vexel is also like the Czech thing. Like it comes from the Czech Republic, which is really cool. How, Granton, what is his name?
Yes.
Yeah,
So
Grafton.
so this application is Vexel, VEXL. .it is the website, and you can download it. It's an open source software. It's an application where you can find the opposite side of the trade. People are buying and selling Bitcoin and other stuff. So it's a marketplace, the encrypted marketplace, where you don't share your personal information until you want to. And yeah, you can buy all kind of stuff there. In Czech, people are selling even farm products there, because they are Bitcoiners, and they understand that the bio stuff is the best.
I love that. It's also a big culture in Austria, where most farms actually not only deliver to supermarkets, but they also have like a small storefront. We even have, I don't know if you have this in Czech, most likely we have it. We have such um, get it yourself small stores. So there's like literally just a fridge and a pot of money, and it's fascinating that it works and nobody steals it. And it's just like you go there, you take out your yogurts, your milk directly from the farmer, and you put the money
Yes.
in the thing, and that's easy. Like it's really that's where I love to take my milk from, because it's like directly from the farmer, and you like this is the root of grassroots movements. Is like the community building, like buying as local, literally from from a farmer 500 meters, 800 meters away from you. That's really cool. That's, I think, the most Bitcoiner way to do it.
Yeah, that makes all the difference. If you're buying local, the money stays local. The people around yourself have better life. If you're buying from a supermarket, the money flows away. Who knows where? So it kind of doesn't change the environment you're living in. So supporting local environment, local businesses is a necessary part of the change. And it's fun. I mean, it's a little bit more expensive, but it's also much more healthier, and it's a lot of fun to meet people who have a passion for something else and just exchange the value. I think that's the best way how to appreciate someone work. Just send them Bitcoin for that.
I have one more topic that came up to my mind while we were talking, because you are not only an entrepreneur in the Bitcoin space yourself, but you also meet a lot of entrepreneurs in the Bitcoin space and a lot of businesses in the Bitcoin space. And I see more and more people asking, okay, how can I be active in the Bitcoin space? How can I either found myself something or work in there, or like do something and level up myself in the Bitcoin space? Do you have some message for Bitcoiners that have a good skill set, that want to involve themselves and either entrepreneurial or just like as a career in Bitcoin?
hmm Well, you need to go out and show what you got. So going to conferences, meeting people, picking some project what you really like, becoming a power user, giving a feedback to the team, and asking that you can volunteer and help. That's perhaps the first thing what you can do um, as a starter. You get experience, you get something to put on your resume, and it can be whatever you design or what you're good in. If you are good in coding, you can contribute on GitHub. If you are good in talking, you can help them with support or feedback. If you are good in networking, you can start your local Bitcoin meetup, and that's also kind of a proof of work that you are able to do something. So I see the examples from people around me, and like most of the people who were able to consistently help other Bitcoin businesses, they now work in one of those Bitcoin businesses because they proved themselves. And after 2 years, when there was a free position, they were the first one on the list because the founders, they already know this person is maybe not the best, the sharpest tool in the world, but it's a dedicated person who knows them well and know they can rely on.
Yeah, this is actually something I'm fairly passionate about, like hiring for attitude, for mindset, for how well it fits also in a team, less than like for skills, because skills is something you can learn. It's obviously amazing if he is a fit for mindset and the values and has a skill set and he really powers up the team, like that's the perfect fit. But if you have to choose one, the values, the mindset, the drivenness, motivation, and all of those things is probably more important than just the skill. Even though there should be some level of skill set there.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. And yeah, Bitcoin is a very, very new, very fresh industry, and it's growing. So there are so many opportunities, really, so many opportunities. And me personally, I come from hospitality. I used to work as a hotel manager, as a manager of restaurants. I used to wait. So, I mean, you just need to find your way in. It's for everyone. It's for everyone, really. You just need to think what you are good at and apply it within the Bitcoin space.
In some sense, you're still in the hospitality business.
Well, yes, I am. I'm organizing dinners during BTC Prague, and I kind of like that. It reminds me the old days.
Yeah, I guess that's why the food is so good. Like the food is really like amazing at Bitcoin Prague. I enjoyed it last year a lot. This I did not know that you were in hospitality before, but this explains it.
Yes, the food is really great. We hired the best hospitality, the best catering firm in Prague. They do almost like a Michelin star food. And the price for the VIP ticket is not that high. It's €1,500 for 3 days, and it gives you just the best value for money. If you compare it with American conferences, especially, you can fly to Prague. You can have a return flight with hotel, with VIP ticket for perhaps even 2 people for the price of 1 VIP ticket um, to our biggest competitor in America.
And maybe that's maybe we can look at directly at, because I get that question asked more, especially as the conference approaches quicker and quicker, usually like 1-2 months before, like what is the perfect pass and ticket to buy, and also maybe we can talk a little bit of like what can people expect from this year's Bitcoin Prague now. Let's just answer this question because I think it's just people have that question. I know because I get the questions always before the conference. How do you look at what kind of person buys the Bitcoin Expo? What kind of person is the 2-day all pass, the 3-day pass, and the VIP pass?
Mm-hmm. Well, your audience are mostly from US and they're mostly already Bitcoiners, right? So they should aim for 3-day all access pass or VIP pass. The difference, if you go lower, 2-day or Bitcoin Expo is no, please stay up. Just say it. If you go lower as a tier, so if you go for 2-day all access or Bitcoin Expo, it's just for newcomers because the expo and the whole venue is full of retail. If you go with 3-day all access, you have 1 extra day without the retail. So there is a time to talk to all these important people from the industry before the retail jumps in. And that means that all the important stuff happens on Thursday. Yeah. And you can only get there with the 3-day all access. It's about business, about technology, about freedom, about these all other topics, what Bitcoiners love to talk about before the massive circus starts with another 5,000 people who come there for different reasons. They are not that hardcore, you know? So I would definitely go with a 3-day all access or VIP pass if you want to treat yourself well with food and if you want to be in the VIP zone where all the speakers are and the founders of those companies. If you want to make a business, I think the VIP pass is the best option. Plus, there is one more stage in the VIP zone, which is very exclusive, and it's with Q&A. So you can really sit like 5 meters in front of Michael Saylor, having a fireside chat with someone, and then ask questions. This is something so exclusive that I mean it's a no-brainer for me. And when I go to conferences, I always go with a VIP pass because it just speed up the process of making business and like get in touch with the people you really want to.
Yeah, I think just for me to add, because I think it was last year at 8 conferences. This year I will be a little bit less at conferences and spend some more time on my YouTube channel. But I was at 8 conferences, and I always take the VIP pass. I always take the speakers pass if I'm able to do that. And the reason why I do that is because I work in Bitcoin. I have a business in Bitcoin, and that's what I also say to people. Like the VIP pass is either for someone that wants to do something in Bitcoin, entrepreneurial or career-wise, and speaking to, like, you can meet most of the speakers also on the floor. But if you really wanna take the travel to Prague and wanna do something as a business there, I wouldn't take the chance of like meeting one of the speakers or maybe on the floor or something like that, and you have a way more intimate setting in the VIP area. I really love the setting there, and the extra stage is obviously cool. I think I saw that Michael Saylor gives a talk on the main stage, but then also a separate talk on the VIP stage this year. I think this was not the case last year. So I'm curious also, like, how this will be. But yeah, I'm a big advocate of that. But obviously, if it's your first Bitcoin conference, and especially if you come from America, because like if you come from America, you spend already a lot of money on like hotel and like the travels and all of that. Spending an extra, what is it, $50 or $60 from the 2-day pass to the 3-day pass, I think is like a must. It's like I wouldn't go for a 2-day pass if you are from America. But then like I would really consider the VIP pass. It's a really nice one. But besides that, what is kind of awaiting for people? What is the program like? You also mentioned, I think before we already talked about the Bitcoin Living Master class. What was yeah, Bitcoin Living Master class, the track that you've put outdoor?
Yeah, well, we have 4 stages, more than 250 speakers, so the lineup is very good. It's better than last year. We have Michael Saylor, Jack Mallers, Natalie Brunel, Peter McCormack, Ben Perrin, BTC Sessions, Jack Cruz, Jeff Booth, Bradley Duke, Giacomo Zucco, Julian Liniger from Relay, Jimmy Song, and other like numerous of great speakers covering pretty much 4 topics. Bitcoin for me is about money, it's about freedom, it's about community, and about technology. So we covered those 4 topics, and we always like to leave people with some action call, some actionability, because if it's just interesting, it's nice, but what I get from it? So this is the kind of the way how we make sure that every single attendee is going out from BTC Prague conference with something what will change his or her life absolutely, and 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 just for sure. So what should be the people be looking for? I mean, the program is live. I'm just looking at it now, and so you can find it on our website. It's not 100% done, so this is like 80%. We are still putting more people there and more panels, but pretty much what I would recommend is just to scroll it and read the descriptions. It's not just about the Bitcoin. There are other topics: how to stay healthy, how to use AI in upcoming years, and those topics are presented by Bitcoiners. So if you are a Bitcoiner, you think about things differently, right? You agree with me, Robin? You think about things from a decentralized point of view. Bitcoiners love to they never leave some stone unturned, so to say. This is the saying, right? We like to question things, and this is important. This is important because we've been indoctrinated for most of our lives. We've been manipulated by the media, and BTC Prague is a place where we say stop and we start from scratch. So if you are a kind of person who like to join the future and being a part of a productive society, just come to BTC Prague, shake a hand with the others, because there is one more thing. I believe it's even more important than the content itself, and that's the connection to people, because in the upcoming years, you can imagine how the AI will shake the whole internet with deepfakes, with avatars. You won't know what is real and what is not. And that means you need people from different parts of the world who will act like your trust bridge. Yeah, like Robin, like you will see something is happening in Prague, in Czech Republic, something is in fire, some big issues. You won't need to verify. You just call me. Hey, Matthias, is Prague really in fire? Say no, Robin. Don't worry. Chill out. It's just a fake news. And I think that this is very important point, and you don't get that from the screen. We need to come back to the roots pick our closest ones. The Dunbar number is real, so make your choices wisely, and this will give you the advantage, the competitive edge for a future. Technology, money, community, this is the stack what you need to be able to survive the changes which can be different for different geolocations.
I love that. And maybe as a small additional point there, most of the things I'm doing now with, for example, Microseed, that all came together because of Bitcoin Prague. They made the connection with Daniel, and we started the whole thing, and we discussed it at Bitcoin Prague, literally. And the Michael Saylor interview I did, it came from Bitcoin Prague, and without Bitcoin Prague, I would have done it remotely, which is like twice as bad as if you do it like in person. And Bitcoin Prague was my first huge conference that I went to. I think it was at like meetups before, so like it was the first conference I guess I went to, and there I met Cybersecurity, I met Saylor. This was before I even started the podcast. It really, like we talk a lot about like the program and like the stuff that like is so hard, like the facts of it. But the thing that is very hard to give people an understanding of what Bitcoin Prague is kind of the energy, the flair, the thing that you get from Bitcoin Prague just being there. And I got that massively. Like I got that like vibe of like the energy, and I really wanted to do more in Bitcoin. It was the first Bitcoin Prague conference, I think 3 years ago. If I got the timing right, as I think 3 years ago it was, where I was the first time there. I just had a small Twitter channel, no YouTube, no podcast or anything like that. And this was the conference where I was like, I want to do more. I want to dive deeper. And I got that energy, that motivation out of the conference more than anything. I didn't was like, oh, I learned this new thing about Bitcoin, which you can do there. But the more important thing for me is like, I went there and I got the energy and the vibe from that. And with every new Prague conference, there's something new coming up. And so I'm really looking forward to this one. The most important thing for your Bitcoin journey is not buying Bitcoin, but it's how to keep them. And yes, you have maybe the right tools, but how do you actually go ahead and stick it all together so it's the most secure for you personally? Self-custody is a deeply personalized journey, and the Bitcoin way is helping you exactly finding that correct setup for you personally. They are also helping you with securing your own cybersecurity. And if you want to go one step above all that, you can even get a consultation for a Plan B residency. Go to thebitcoinway.com/Robin and you will get a 30-minute free consultation. I finally and officially mine Bitcoin. This is not just something to stack more Satoshis, but it's most importantly also to support the network. Individual miners are the ones that keep the Bitcoin network decentralized. And by the way, you get KYC-free Bitcoin. That's why I use Simple Mining. I get an actual proper Bitcoin miner. They set it up for me. They repair it if it breaks down. And most importantly, they let me choose the pool and even connect my own full node. I'm completely sovereign and I'm completely in control. And I can sign up with Ocean, no account needed. I just give them a Bitcoin address and then there's mining going on. No KYC, nothing. So if you're ready to mine Bitcoin, go to simplemining.io, tell them you come from Robin, and let's mine Bitcoin together.
Yeah. Well, the conviction is part of being Bitcoiner, and it's hard to get conviction if you don't spend time for it. You know these things like 10,000 hours to master everything or anything. So if you spend 10 hours watching videos on YouTube, it doesn't count as the same as the 10 hours at BTC Prague. 10 hours at BTC Prague give you 100 hours of conviction, because you meet people who will explain you ask the stupid question what is bugging you for months, and then you get an answer and finally it's solid. And not only that you got answers for Bitcoin, but you got answers for traveling, parenting, health issues, AI, and Noster. It all comes together without the noise. You filter out the noise. That's important, like the conferences, they do that for you. They filter out the noise, so your time is more effective. If you are in Prague for 3 days, you spend 12 or 13 hours per day in the Bitcoin jungle, and it's intense, but it's worth.
I love that. Really cool. Any last words, anything that we forgot today that you want to mention before we come to the end routine of the podcast?
No, thank you very much, Robin, for inviting me. I would just say that the conference is happening in June 11 to 13. It's a summertime in Prague. The beer is nice, really cold, and the weather is always sunny. It's not just a conference; it's kind of a festival vibe, as we describe, and it's a movement. It's being part of something bigger than we are. And when we get older, we will be thinking about this as the most exciting time of our lives. And I think that we are lucky to be alive in a time of such a change.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Matthias, for being on. Before I let you go, we have an end routine in the podcast, as you might know from the last time you have been on, where the previous guest is asking a question for the next guest without knowing who the next guest actually is. And the previous guest asked you an interesting one. How would you react to someone saying that the market fundamentally is driven by sentiment?
Okay. Well, I think it's true. Partially, definitely it's true. The market is driven by sentiment. The market decides, the market is full of participants, and each of this participant, if you distillate it to the individual, is deciding how to act. And the decision comes from logic, but also from emotions, and emotions are driven by sentiment. Big part of the market is driven by sentiment. So I would say it's true.
Absolutely, yeah. And my previous guest, Adrian, he wrote a whole thesis, I think like a 30 page paper on that. But he came to the same conclusion that like fundamentally it's sentiment that kind of sparks the whole market. But that's a whole nother topic. Thank you so much, Matthias, for being on the podcast and being such an amazing guest today. Before I let you go, where can people find you? Where can people find Bitcoin Prague? I mean, Bitcoin Prague is easy. I have the link in the description. And you can save some of the cost with code Robin, and you can save some additional cost if you pay in Bitcoin. I think it's 5%, which you get with 5%, which you get with paying with Bitcoin, and 10% if you use code Robin. They're combinable, so like you get basically 15% off the price off with that. And yeah, where can people find you and all the things you're doing?
Well, I'm on Twitter. If you search my name, Matthias44 Cook, I think is the handle, or on Noster, you can find me there. Matthias, Matyas, Kuchar, Kuchar. So I post my personal stuff on Noster, and I post business stuff and Bitcoin stuff on Twitter. So follow me there. Drop me a message if you really like something what I said, or otherwise if you have some constructive feedback for me. I'm happy to hear that, and I always answer all messages.
Awesome. And thank you so much, Matthias, for being on the podcast. And also thank you so much for everyone that is watching and listening for joining us today. As always, I'll be back. This content is for educational and entertainment purposes only and does not constitute financial advice.